Om Akhandamandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Hari Om Tava Katamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibiritam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadatam Vigrinanti Burita Janaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramakrishna. Those suffering in this material world are soothed by your sweet words and actions. Your words, given to us by the wise, remove sin and bring good fortune to the hearer. Their broadcast fills the whole world with spiritual power. Blessed are they who spread the message of the Supreme. So welcome to this 39th week of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, readings and reflections. As usual, I will read a few passages and then we can reflect on some other points. The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, the chapter is entitled as The Master's Birthday Celebration at Dakshineswar. Page 192, translated by Swami Nikhilanand. After his meal, Sri Ramakrishna rested a little on the small couch. Inside and outside his room crowded the devotees, among them Kedar, Suresh, Ram, Manmohan, Girindra, Rakal, Bhavanath, and Yam. Rakal's father also was present. A Vaishnava Goswami was seated in the room. The master said to him, "Well, what do you say? What is the way?" Goswami, "Sir, the chanting of God's name is enough. The scriptures emphasize the sanctity of God's name for the Kali Yuga." Master, yes, there is no doubt about sanctity of God's name. But can a mere name achieve anything without the yearning love of the devotee behind it? One should feel great restlessness of soul for the vision of God. Suppose a man repeats the name of God mechanically while his mind is absorbed in woman and gold. Can he achieve anything? Mere muttering of magic words doesn't cure one of the pain of a spider or scorpion sting. One must also apply the smoke of burning cow dung. This reference, burning cow dung, refers to a primitive medicine used by the villagers for scorpion bites. Goswami. But what about Ajamil then? He was a great sinner. There was no sin he had not indulged in, but he uttered the name of Narayana on his deathbed, calling his son, who also had that name, and thus he was liberated. Master. Perhaps Ajamil had done many spiritual things in his past births. It is also said that he once practiced austerity. Besides, those were the last moments of his life. What is the use of giving an elephant a bath? It will cover itself with dirt and dust again and become its former self. But if someone removes the dust from its body and gives it a bath just before it enters the stable, then the elephant remains clean. Suppose a man becomes pure by chanting the holy name of God, but immediately afterwards commits many sins. He has no strength of mind. He doesn't take a vow not to repeat his sins. A bath in the Ganges undoubtedly absolves one of all sins. But what does that avail? They say that the sins perch on the trees along the bank of the Ganges. No sooner does the man come back from the holy waters than the old sins jump on his shoulders from the trees. All laugh. The same old sins take possession of him again. He is hardly out of the water before they fall upon him. Therefore, I say, chant the name of God and with it pray to him that you may have love for him. Pray to God that your attachment to such transitory things as wealth, name, and creature comforts may become less and less every day. The Goswami. With sincerity and earnestness, one can realize God through all religions. The Vaishnavas will realize God, and so will the Shaktas, the Vedantis, and the Brahmos. The Muslims and Christians will realize Him too. All will certainly realize God if they are earnest and sincere. Some people indulge in quarrels, saying, one cannot attain anything unless one worships our Krishna, or nothing can be gained without the worship of Kali, our Divine Mother, or one cannot be saved without accepting the Christian religion. This is pure dogmatism. The dogmatist says, my religion alone is true, and the religions of others are false. This is a bad attitude. God can be reached by different paths. Further, some say that God has form and is not formless. Thus they start quarreling. A Vaishnava quarrels with a Vedantist. One can rightly speak of God only after one has seen him. He who has seen God knows really and truly that God has form and that he is formless as well. He has many other aspects that cannot be described. Once, some blind men chanced to come near an animal that someone told them was an elephant. They were asked what the elephant was like. The blind men began to feel its body. One of them said, the elephant was like a pillar. He had touched only its leg. Another said, it was like a winnowing fan. He had touched only its ear. In this way, the others, having touched its tail or belly, gave the different versions of the elephant. Just so, a man who has seen only one aspect of God limits God to that alone. It is his conviction that God cannot be anything else. To the Goswami, how can you say that the only truth about God is that he has form? It is undoubtedly true that God comes down to earth in a human form, as in the case of Krishna. And it is true as well that God reveals himself to his devotees in various forms. But it is also true that God is formless. He is the indivisible existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute. He has been described in the Vedas both as formless and as endowed with form. He is also described there both as attributeless and as endowed with attributes. Do you know what I mean? Satchidananda is like an infinite ocean. Intense cold freezes the water into ice, which floats on the ocean in blocks of various forms. Likewise, through the cooling influence of bhakti, one sees forms of God in the ocean of the Absolute. These forms are meant for the bhaktas, the lovers of God. But when the sun of knowledge rises, the ice melts. It becomes the same water it was before. Water above and water below. Everywhere, nothing but water. Therefore, a prayer in the Bhagavata says, O Lord, thou hast form, thou art also formless. Thou walkest before us, O Lord, in the shape of man. Again, thou hast been described in the Vedas as beyond words and thought. But you may say that for certain devotees, God assumes eternal forms. There are places in the ocean where the ice doesn't melt at all. It assumes the form of quartz. Kedar. It is said in the Bhagavata that Vyasa asked God's forgiveness for his 3 transgressions. He said, O Lord, thou art formless, but I have thought of thee in my meditation as endowed with form. Thou art beyond speech, but I have sung thee hymns. Thou art the all-pervading Spirit, but I have made pilgrimages to sacred places. Be gracious, O Lord, and forgive these 3 transgressions of mine. Master. Yes, God has form and he is formless too. Further, he is beyond both form and formlessness. No one can limit him. So welcome to this 39th week. Such a beautiful passages that you get in this Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Many problems get resolved. I remember one devotee was telling me, Maharaj, whenever in our domestic circle some type of problem comes up, I have kept Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita or the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, this book at the altar. So I just go there, take the book, open any random page and read it. And what I can tell you, Maharaj, by His grace, the moment I read some passage there, some type of solution is there for my problem. Likewise, many devotees have felt, definitely. So, how the problems of the people who come to Sri Ramakrishna and meeting him and talking to him, and the problems get resolved one by one by his sweet nectarine words. That's why Yam has titled this book as Kathamrita, Kathamritam. So, Katha Amritam. So, this is the talks of Sri Ramakrishna, the words of Sri Ramakrishna are nectar. So, in this passage, the previous passage we saw how Sri Ramakrishna was again and again going into Samadhi, and then some people from Konnagar came and they started singing Kirtan, and they were all sitting in Sri Ramakrishna's room. Master also joined the music, and then he went into Samadhi, standing still as a statue. So, the people who saw that form of Sri Ramakrishna standing still, they were reminded of Lord Chaitanya Deva, the previous incarnation. And it was about noon meal, time to noon meal. So Sri Ramakrishna put on new yellow cloth and he came and sat on the small couch. So they were all enchanted with the form of Sri Ramakrishna, who had a golden complexion and whose clothes were yellow, and the eyes of the devotees were filled with such wonderful happiness. After his meal, Sri Ramakrishna rested a little. That is the tradition. In Bengal, you find that after the noon meal, people go for small, it's say 1 hour, 1.5 hours, they take rest. Sri Ramakrishna also used to take rest. That has been brought in the tradition of the Ramakrishna order also. In our ashrams also, after the lunch, noon meal, we go for rest for a short time. Why? Because this short span of, say, 1.5 hours of rest in the noon time is good actually, because we get up very early in the morning. By 4 we are up. In Belur, 4 o'clock, Arati starts. So you must be get up by at least 3:30, half an hour before. So you can finish your ablutions and take bath and then run for Arati. So early you are getting up. And then night, taking meals in the supper and going to bed will be 10:30, 11. So in between, during daytime, after the lunchtime, 1 hour siesta is good enough. And nowadays, the modern science has found out that this middle of the time of the day, if you have half an hour to 1 hour rest, that is very good for getting regenerated. Your mind gets full of power again, and you will be able to be more productive in your work. That is also they say. Anyway, so Sri Ramakrishna had his rest, and then he saw who are all sitting in his room after he came out of his rest. He saw Kedar, Suresh, Ram, Manmohan, Girindra, Rakal, Bhavanath, and Yam. Rakal's father also was present. You know, Rakal is who later became Swami Brahmananda. His father also was there. A Vaishnava Goswami also was seated in the room. So seeing the Vaishnava Goswami, Sri Ramakrishna put a question to him. Tell me, what do you say? What is the way? This type of question by Sri Ramakrishna is to the devotees is like taking up a topic. You require some type of topic to discuss. And if you don't give the clue to the people will start discussing about mundane things. To avoid that, many times in the group, Sri Ramakrishna used to prompt a person by asking a question. People generally ask questions to Sri Ramakrishna. That's perfectly okay. But Sri Ramakrishna also puts questions to the devotees. And when the devotee starts answering 1 or 2 lines, then Sri Ramakrishna will elaborate the answer. So here, when he asked this question of devotee, hey, what is the way? So what did he say? The Goswami says, sir, the chanting of God's name is enough. The scriptures emphasize the sanctity of God's name in Kali Yuga. So the Vaishnava is very sincere, and he has read some scriptures also. And so he knows the scriptures emphasize the glory of the name of God. God's name and God are not different. So the name of the God is enough for Kali Yuga. So there are many stories are there that how by simply uttering the name of God, one has become pure. There's a beautiful verse also we chant during our beginning of the puja. Apavitra pavitro va sarvavastam gatopi va yasmare pundarikaksham saha bahya abhyantara suchihi. Bahya abhyantara, outside and inside, shuchihi, he becomes pure. Who becomes pure outside and inside? One who remembers the Pundarikaksha, Lord Narayana. Pundarikaksha is another term for Lord Narayana. Pundarikaksha, his eyes are like the lotus flower. So that Pundarikaksha, his name you take and you remember him, then you become pure outside and inside. And in whatever stage of purity you are there. See, the lowest rung of the line, if you put, of purity, the lowest rung is the impurity, apavitra. And the highest is pavitra. So in between there are stages. Different kinds of stages may be there. Think of any type of stage. So he says, apavitra, the lowest end, or pavitra, the highest end. Apavitra, pavitra. And he says, sarvavastam gatopiva, or sarvavastam, in any avastha, in any level of purity or impurity. So it may be both are combined also. Some may go to pluck the flowers for divine offering. It is called, kainkarya. Plucking flowers is called deva kainkarya. For the God you are plucking the flowers. So how much pure you must have to go and pluck the flowers? You are preparing food for offering to the Lord. So how much purified your mind must be at the time of preparing the food? Likewise, this Deva Kainkarya, there are several types of Kainkaryas are there. Say cleaning the ashram. When the devotees come, every Saturday we have a Karma Yoga session in the morning. So devotees come and start cleaning the whole ashram. Even the external cleaning of the ashram requires some setup of the mind. And that mind should be thinking of God, and I am doing this work for Him, etc., purifying the thoughts you must have. But is it possible all the time to keep the mind pure like that? Sometimes. While plucking the flowers, you may get a contrary, an impure thought. While cooking food for the Lord, you may get some impure thought. While serving, while cleaning the ashram, you may get some impure thought. So likewise, there are many stages of impurity to purity. From 0 to 100, you put a line. Any stage, that's what he says. Scriptures say, sarvavastam gatopiva. In any stage you are, does not matter. If you take the name of Pundarikaksha, you will become pure externally and internally. So this Vaishnava devotee knew this. So he is placing the view of essentially these are all ideas of Bhagavatam. So in Bhagavatam, this glory of God's name has been repeatedly coming. In several cases it comes with the incidents of great saints, etc. You will find that. So this Vaishnava devotee, naturally, what he knows, he says that. But is it enough? Now there is a question beyond this taking the name of God. Is there something beyond that? That is what Sri Ramakrishna is going to hint. Master, yes, he accepts the Vaishnava devotee's words. There is no doubt about the sanctity of God's name. No doubt about that. God's name is sanctity itself. Pavitrata Swarupini, as we say. So it is sanctity is there. No doubt about that. But Sri Ramakrishna adds another dimension to this philosophy. The philosophy that says, simply take the name of God. It's over. Everything is done. So this is a philosophy of the Vaishnavas. He adds, Sri Ramakrishna has come not to disturb. He wants to add another dimension, as we see here. He says, can a mere name achieve anything without the yearning love of the devotee behind it? You take the name of God and take it mechanically. Will that take you anywhere? That is the question he is asking. That without the yearning love behind that taking the name, so while taking the name, something more also is required. If you say God's name is sanctified, accepted. But while taking the name of God, there must be something to be added. The love for God also must be there. So he gives a beautiful example also. Suppose a man repeats the name of God mechanically. As I said, while plucking the flowers, mechanically you are repeating the name of God. You are chanting some hymns. Say Vishnu Sahasranam. You are chanting and plucking the flowers. But your mind can go into multiple sides. Even though it is plucking, even though it is chanting the Vishnu Sahasranam, still your mind can, one part of it can divide itself and completely dissociate from these two and go and indulge in some bad thought. This is the problem. So, while his mind is absorbed in woman and gold, if a man repeats the name of God mechanically, can he achieve anything? This is the question Sri Ramakrishna raises. And he gives a beautiful example. He says, when a scorpion bites you, so if you are in a village, you are taken to a mantrika. You know, most of the villages have mantrika. In my childhood also, when I was bitten by a water snake in the river when I was taking bath, so my mother took me to a mantrika in the village. And he saw my leg and then he did some mantra, ucharan, that is mantra pronunciation. So he did that. And then he said, no, the poison is not there, you can go back. So I came away. Now you see the muttering of the magic formulas, as it is called. The mantras are, in English, they say magic formulas. So these magic formulas, the magic words are muttered. But is it enough? So what they do, the mantras give another thing, add to that. They do the magic mantras, yes, okay. But then they would advise you, go and take the burning cow dung. And when the burning cow dung, the smoke comes out, apply the smoke on the wound place. So merely muttering mantra is not enough. So Sri Ramakrishna says like that. So merely telling the name of God is not enough. Along with that, the yearning for love of God is also necessary. Now, this adding a new dimension to the thought that God's name is enough did not satisfy the Vaishnava devotee. Naturally, Goswami gives an argument. He says, but what about Ajamila then? He was a great sinner. There was no sin he had not indulged in, but he uttered the name of Narayana and he was absolved from all his sins. He was liberated. Now, this is also very important, that how this Ajamila story, this comes in again in Bhagavatam. You know, Bhagavatam is one of the Puranas written by sage Vyasa. As I told you in one of the classes, either in Mother's Life or somewhere I said, that's how the Bhagavatam came into existence. By Vyasa shed tears, and he wants that the love of God must come. And that is the importance of Bhagavatam. When you read Bhagavatam, you shed tears, literally. And there are passages which bring you tears. So that the love of God comes there. So the Goswami has studied the Bhagavatam. So there is a story. The Bhagavatam is divided into 12 chapters, not 12 divisions. Each division has got some number of chapters. About 360 chapters are there. Exact number I forget. But then the total number of divisions are 12. It's called canto. Or in Sanskrit we call it skanda. So there are 12 skandhas are there in that great book Bhagavatam. If you have, this is available from our Chennai Mutt. Even in internet you can get it. Such a beautiful translation by Swami Tapasyananji. I have read the other translations also of Bhagavatam, but the translation done by Swami Tapasyananda is something great. I should tell you that if it is possible, and you can get from the Chennai Ramakrishna Mutt website, you can go there and there is a store, is there, bookstore, you can get it online. It is in 4 parts. They are published in 4 parts. And each part has got an introduction of essay by Swami Tapasyanji. Those essays are so enlightening. When you read that, you understand this person, Tapasyananda, who was the head president of the Ramakrishna Math Chennai for many years and became vice president of the Sangha also of the order. That Swami, how much he was purely absorbed with the thought of Bhagavata, the love of God. You can easily understand by his translations. So now, he's quoting the incident of Ajamil. So, Ajamil's story comes in the 6th canto, 6th skanda of the Bhagavata. It's a very beautiful story, particularly the conversation between the Yamaduta, that is, who have come to take the life of Ajamila, and the Vishnu Duta. Yes, there is a big conversation going on there, and that conversation is very important. So we find that how beautifully that story goes like this, that Ajamila was a great sinner. True, he was a great sinner. He started loving a prostitute, and he brought her to his house as servant maid, and then he fell for her beauty, and then he lost everything. All his normal sense he lost. She was born in a high Brahmana caste, but then he went so low with that lady that he forgot his house, he forgot his parents, and he forgot his property, everything he left for that girl. And then he started spending money on her. So much of wealth he had, born in a very wealthy Brahmin family. But then, and he had such wonderful accomplishments. When he was young, how was he? I am reading from the Bhagavatam itself, the English translation. This man, this is a conversation. The Bhagavatam itself is a conversation. As Gita is a conversation between Arjuna and Krishna. So it is like a conversation which is coming under another conversation of Dhritarashtra asking Sanjay. That is another conversation. And like that, you see, this Bhagavatam also is a conversation between King Parikshit with the sage Sukadeva. Sukadeva is the son of sage Vyasa. So Sukadeva and Parikshit are talking to each other. So when they are conversing with each other and the conversation goes on, and Sukadeva brings lots and lots of incidents of Hari, of Narayana, and give Upadesha to Parikshit Raja. So when Parikshit asked him, if a man is following a proper dharmic way of life, and he takes the name of God, and he dies, he attains liberation. That is perfectly understandable. But if a man goes in adharmic way, what is the future of me? Is there any way that he can be also redeemed? This is the question. So for that, the sage Sukadeva brings the story of Ajamil. How was Ajamil earlier? That portion only I am going to read. This comes within verses 56 to 57, 2 verses. This man Ajamil was well versed in the Vedas. Think of a man who is well versed. Vedas speak about dharma, and Vedas give you what are the actions that are dharmic and what are the actions that are adharmic. You can see that. So naturally, this is what the Vedas is well versed. That means he knows what he is doing. That's the meaning of a good character and good conduct. Character and conduct, both are good. In school they used to give the conduct certificate, character certificate. You can go to any man and then an authority and ask him to give me this certificate. So I want to get a loan from bank, so give me this. So he gives a certificate. But the certificate is not enough. This man, Ajamil, was really a man of character, a man of good conduct, was initially a reservoir of good qualities. Apart from the conduct and character, he had many, many good qualities, rather reservoir of good qualities. That means as if all the good qualities have come and descended upon this Ajamil. Such a wonderful man he was. He coincidentally, no, sorry, this is too small in the phone, to read. I'm just zooming it in. He conscientiously, mild, controlled, and truthful, kept to his vows and knew his mantras. This is another character of a great man, Ajamil. He was conscious and he kept to his vows. I must be truthful. So if this conscious, not unconsciously is practicing certain qualities. No, he's conscious. Yes, I must do this. I must be a dharma like this. So he says. And he repeats his mantras. He was neat and clean. This is another features. Neat and clean. You can be haphazard. And you can be absolutely, unclean. But he was neat and clean, of the greatest esteem, in service of the Guru, the fire god, his guests, and members of the household. You see, for 4 types of people, he was absolutely in service to them. What are the 4 kinds of people? Service of the Guru and the fire god Agni, because every day he has to do the Agni Upasana. He has to do a yajna in his house, and he was very thorough about that. And his guests, Atiti Devo Bhava. Atitis are, the guests are considered as a Narayana themselves. So you have to consider them, Atiti. And he says, and to the members of the household, his wife, a very beautiful wife he had. She was also from the same family lineage, that Brahmin family, and he has got good parents. And also, he was free from false pride. False pride was not there. And he was friendly to all, faultless, non-envious, no jealousy, and of the finest choice of words. When he speaks, when the words come out from his mouth, you know that there cannot be any other word. Such beautiful way that he puts it. And he was the man, that type of Ajamil, how he fell down from that highest of purity. He was at the top level of purity. That Pavitra, if you can make it 100, and that 100 he was staying. And the lowest, as I said, 0 is Apavitra. And how he slowly brought down himself. Just if his father told him, Ajamil, today you bring some grass and some flowers, etc. from the forest. Go there. So he went to forest. While collecting everything, he was a very nice person, good man. And while coming back with all the items in his hand, in the basket, suddenly he heard a sound. And then his curiosity was enkindled. He went there. What is happening there? What is the sound coming from? And he saw the prostitute of the village was having some joyful time with one man. Now, this man and woman were enjoying themselves. This was the scene that he saw. The moment he saw, his mind got polluted. See, he was doing a Deva Kainkarya. He's bringing all the flowers and grass, etc. for puja. But then his mind went for the physical pleasure. And that induced in him the thought of the physical pleasure. When he came back to his house, he could not contain. It's all such wonderful qualities that we read about him. even to that type of person, one single thought of bad can pollute the entire mind. How great difficulty of spiritual life is, you can understand. In spiritual life, you have to be always guarded, alertness all the time. If you miss one time and one thought, any thought, bad thought enters into your mind, it can do havoc in spiritual life. So one has to be guarded all the time. So this vigilance is the eternal prize for leading spiritual life. And we see that in Ajamila's case is a glaring example of one bad thought entering his mind and polluting his mind and grasping the entire mind to that thought. And the rest of his goodness, etc., everything was kept aside, as it were. And one thought started becoming bigger and bigger and bigger and occupying the entire space of the mind. What happened? He went and brought that prostitute as a maidservant in his home. And he put all his love towards her, forgot his wife, forgot his parents, and all the wealth that he had put on her. And he had children through that lady, the second wife. And the last child was named Narayana. It's also God's grace, you see. When God's grace comes, it wants to redeem you. It can redeem you at any time because of your past karmic fruits. You have done a very good life. You have led a very good life. In that case, all those things, will it go away just because you have become bad now? This is a question Swamiji raises in Bhakti Yoga. He says, if the bad karmic fruits, the karmic actions, the fruits of karmic actions, because of that, you have become bad, you are suffering now, is that the life is over? No. Swamiji says that there are good actions that you have done earlier, good thinking you have done earlier. All those things are waiting. If the bad actions results are pouncing upon you like tigers, because of which you are suffering, Swamiji says the actions, the results of good actions are lying there to come upon you, to protect you as 1,000 angels. One side, the tigers, to devour you. Another side, the angels, to protect you. That is what happened in Ajamila's life. And when this boy was born, this son was born, he had the good sense to name him Narayana. And he had so much time he spent with this boy, calling Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. What a beautiful name it is. And this name, Narayana, he has been calling his son every time. That's why, when I find modern days, you shorten the name. Such beautiful names are given to you, and the name is shortened, and they call you by any other name with the shortened one. How funny it is. You don't even you don't properly pronounce that word. So there are many instances you all know in your houses. You know what is your good name. That's why people ask, what is your good name? आपका शुभ नाम क्या है? In Hindi में बोलते हैं ना, आपका शुभ नाम क्या है? The शुभ नाम means the name is Shubha. The शुभ नाम means the name that has been given to you at the time of name giving ceremony. So when the name is given, we don't give this type of pet names. We give the proper names. The names are always on behind the gods. All the gods and goddesses' names are given to our children. That is the tradition. That is the culture that we are born. So the culture says that you give to your child a name, that the name that signifies the God's quality. So that is the name that you give. And he was so fond of this Narayana name, and he gave that. And he would call him. When he wants to eat anything, he will put his son next to him and feed him first, and then he will eat. Whatever he wanted to do, he would keep his son next to him. And that attachment to his son was extreme. And he reached the age of 88. Bhagavatam says, he reached the age of 88 and he fell sick and he was about to die. Now he could have died just like that, but no. During death, what happens? So Bhagavatam brings out a very beautiful incident here. Bhagavatam says that the Yamadutas have come. Yama, the Lord of Death. He sends his messengers. And the messengers will come and then tie the soul with their rope and then drag that soul from the body. That's why when the soul leaves the body suffers. Too much agony, too much pain, etc. we say. If you read Garuda Puran, you will know how the body is separated from the soul. And the Sukshma Sarira, as it is called, it is taken away by the Yamadutas. They come and then take you. That is what they did. They tied him by the rope and then they are dragging the subtle body from the physical body. And he was crying in agony. At that moment, he saw with his mental eyes that 4 divine persons arrived at that place. They are extremely divine, wonderful. They are holding the Padma flower, that is lotus flower, signifying Lord Vishnu's. Lord Vishnu loves the lotus flower, and they are holding the lotus flower, and they descended there, and they are telling the Yamadutas, the messengers of Lord Death, says, stop it. We have come to take the soul to Vaikuntha. He will not go to Yamaloka. And then the Yamadutas were stunned. Said, who are you? How can you take him to Vaikuntha? He is not fit for that. He has done lots and lots of sins. There was no sin that he has not done. So naturally, we have to take him to Lord Yama and make him appear before him for inquiry and proper punishment. The divine personality, the 4 people who came, they said, no, we are Vishnu Dutas. We are the messengers of Lord Vishnu. We have come to take him. And the conversation that is between Vishnu Dutas and Yamadutas is what the subject there in the 6th chapter. You'll find there. And Ajamila listens to all these conversations. What is dharma? What is adharma? How a man of righteous life gets moksha? How a man of righteous life been in the past but now presently degraded, how he overcomes by taking the name of Lord, etc., comes there. Because he called Narayana, Narayana, thinking of his son only, because he named his son Narayana. And he went to Vishnu Loka, the Vaikuntha. But this is the story there. But Master knew the story. So he answers the Goswami's objection. What he says, objection was that Ajamila was a sinner and then he went to Vaikuntha by taking the name of Narayana. And that also, he had no love for Narayana. He didn't call him with all the love. What he did, he just called his own son's name only because of the attachment to the son. Still he went to Vaikuntha. Is it not? Then Sri Ramakrishna says, perhaps Ajamila had done many spiritual things in his past births. That's why the past birth actions are coming to protect you as 1,000 angels, Swami Vivekananda says. You see, the past birth actions are there. You have done so many good things. Where they will go? If they don't come and protect you from the bad actions results, then what is the use of doing good things? The dharma has got no meaning. Dharmo rakshati dharma. If you are dharmavan, it will protect you. In Tamil, there is a beautiful phrase, dharmam talai kaakum. So dharma will actually protect your head. It means it will protect you from the bad actions results. So he says, it is also said that he once practiced austerity. I read you in Bhagavatam that phrase, that 25th and 26th slokas, how they explain how Ajamil lived his life. Such a wonderful life, dharmic life. Besides, those were the last moments of his life. You know, when you are evolving slowly from one birth to another birth to another birth to another birth, the samsara chakra, there is a last birth before moksha. Before reaching the holy feet of the Lord, there is a birth, and that birth is the last birth. Which is the last birth, I may not know. But one such last birth is there to every one of us, because every one of us has to proceed in that line and reach liberation. No one can be left out. So everyone must get. So if everyone must go to liberation, yet attain liberation, that means for everyone, there must be a last birth. And Ajamil's last birth was that. So what is the connection? If the last birth is there, and if you don't have love for God's name, and you tell the name, will you be released? For that, Sri Ramakrishna explains how that mechanism, that modus operandi happens here. He says, what is the use of giving an elephant a bath? You take an elephant to the pond and give him a nice bath and leave him there. And then he comes out, immediately he takes his dust and applies dust on his body. How many times you clean the elephant, he again makes him dirty. It will cover itself with dirt and dust again. But if someone gives the bath to the elephant and takes him direct, he remains clean. That is what happened. So the going to the stable and staying there for the elephant is like the last birth of Ajamil. He is going to Vaikuntha now. At that time, this has happened. So, if it is your last birth, if you have done a lot of austerities, if you have done very good actions in the previous birth, even though you degrade yourself to the lowest, the name of Lord, even though you do not know the meaning of the name, still that will protect you. That is another dimension which Sri Ramakrishna has given us. So he gives another beautiful example of the Ganges bath. So you go to Ganges, and then what is said about Ganges? The Ganges bath, it will remove all your sins. For that only we go to Ganges and take bath. Rather, any river you take and you take bath. That is a very nice thing, because it is a dharma karma. It's a very good thing of dharma. But then what you do? All the sins that you have done, they are all afraid. Oh, this person is going to Ganges now. We cannot come near Ganges. So what they do? They get out from your shoulders and stay on the branches of the trees on the way. And you go to Ganges, take bath, all your sins are washed now, and you come out. When you come back by the same route, all the sins that are staying at the roots of the branches of the tree, they jump upon your shoulder again. So all love. So it's a very joking, very Sri Ramakrishna says. So what is like an elephant? Giving elephant a bath, which again is going to dirty itself. That is what happens. See, the determination, the vow that I shall not do it again is not there. So Sri Ramakrishna tells a man, he looked at him. A long time he was standing outside his room. So after everybody is gone away, Sri Ramakrishna comes out and calls him. Hey, what happened? Why you didn't come inside? Then that man says, oh Lord, how can I come inside? I have done all the sins. I'm a sinful man. You are Pavitra. How can I come near you? Sri Ramakrishna tells him, take the name of Durga. Say Durga, Durga, Durga. Say that I am the son of Durga. What sin can come to me? And he adds one important sentence there. He says, Ramakrishna says, that now decide that you will never do a sin again. From this moment, you will not do. That determination, if you have, then nothing will come upon you. No bad thing will come upon you. So he says, the same old sins take possessions if you do not have the determination. That's why chant the name of God. Therefore, I say, this is a very important line we have to underline when you read the book. Because therefore, I say, he says, here he uses the word I, standing for the Lord. Chant the name of God, and with it, pray to him that you may have love for him. So for our ordinary people, we are all ordinary people, not like Ajamila, such a great man he was once. So not like him. So we have not done even those punya karmas. We have not acquired any of the good qualities that he had. We are all in the evolving phase. So for us, we shall chant the name of God. Along with that, we shall pray to God, oh Lord, please give me the love for you. That's all it says. Pray to God that attachment to transitory things as wealth, the name, and creature comforts may become less and less. Not in one day, everything should go away. Little by little, less and less, all this my attachment you reduce. Like that you must pray. If this prayer is done to Lord, and Lord's name has got a wonderfully effective way that it can redeem us from all our sins. We shall proceed further next week. Om Niranjanam Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukampa Drita Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidhyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namamaha. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.